On the same Wednesday that Elliot Lopez was arrested, the quest for justice took a violent and public turn. Just outside the Bronx Hall of Justice, chaos erupted in the middle of the afternoon. Around 2:40 p.m., as people went about their business near the courthouse, gunshots rang out, sending pedestrians scrambling for cover. In the ensuing panic, a 29-year-old woman lay dying on the sidewalk, and 2 men were wounded. The scene, just steps from the halls of justice, was a grim reminder of how easily street violence can spill into any corner of the city, even those dedicated to upholding the law. The gunman was identified as 15-year-old Jaden Baez. Eyewitnesses and police saw Baez, who was wearing a bulletproof vest, shoot a man multiple times in the chest. That man was Jaron Grant, who was tragically killed in the attack. The woman who died was the wife of one of the massacre suspects, the very woman whose alleged assault had sparked the initial revenge plot. Her husband, who was also a suspect in the massacre, was one of the 2 men wounded in the courthouse shooting. Baez, armed with a 9mm pistol, attempted to flee the scene but was quickly apprehended by police officers who were already nearby. The brazenness of the attack in broad daylight was stunning. The motive for this second violent act was, once again, revenge. Jaden Baez reportedly knew one of the 6 victims from the St. Valentine's Day massacre. Believing that the people at the courthouse were responsible for his friend's death, he took matters into his own hands. The courthouse shooting was a direct and deadly consequence of the earlier tragedy, a clear illustration of how one act of vengeance can ignite another. The cycle of violence was now spinning wildly out of control, claiming new victims and creating new grievances. The Bronx was now dealing with 2 interconnected tragedies, each fueling the other with a seemingly endless supply of rage and sorrow. The investigation into Jaden Baez revealed a history of gun violence that belied his young age. The .40 caliber pistol recovered from him was linked to at least 2 other shootings in the Bronx during the fall of 1993. In one incident on October 14th, he allegedly fired into a crowd in Mott Haven. In another, on November 20th, he allegedly gave the gun to a 17-year-old accomplice, who then shot and injured a 65-year-old woman. Baez was not just a grieving friend seeking retribution. He was a young man already deep in a world of violent crime. He was indicted for murder and other charges, facing a future behind bars for continuing a war that had already cost too many lives. This tragic saga, unfolding in 1993, spanned from a blood-soaked apartment to a chaotic courthouse sidewalk, serving as a powerful and devastating lesson on the true cost of revenge. What began as one man's alleged crime, an assault, spiraled into a massacre that claimed 6 lives. This act of vengeance, meant to settle a score, did not bring resolution. Instead, it planted the seeds for more violence, creating new wounds and new motives for retaliation. The death of the 5 additional victims in the 1993 massacre, individuals who may have just been in the wrong place at the wrong time, highlights the indiscriminate nature of such rage. Revenge is a fire that rarely consumes only its intended target. The courthouse shooting brought this cycle into horrifyingly sharp focus. A 15-year-old boy seeking his own form of justice for a slain friend perpetuated the violence, killing a woman and injuring 2 men. One of those men was a suspect in the very crime the boy was trying to avenge. The woman who died was the one whose suffering had supposedly justified the initial massacre. Her death served no purpose other than to deepen the tragedy, leaving a wake of shattered families and unresolved grief. This chain of events demonstrates that vengeance is not a form of justice. It is a self-perpetuating engine of destruction that ultimately leaves everyone worse off. For law enforcement in 1993, the intertwined crimes presented a complex challenge, but for the community, the impact was much more personal. The violence eroded the sense of safety and trust that holds a neighborhood together. It fed a narrative of fear, where disputes are settled not with words or through the legal system, but with guns. Breaking this cycle requires more than just police work and arrests. It demands a collective effort from community leaders, families, and individuals to reject vengeance as a solution and to promote pathways to peace and reconciliation. The pain is real, but responding with more violence only ensures that the pain will continue to spread. Ultimately, this story from 1993 is a somber reminder that the pursuit of revenge is a journey with no satisfying destination. It leads only to more graveyards, more grieving families, and more broken communities, The path to healing begins when a community decides to choose peace over retribution, to seek justice through the proper channels, and to support one another in breaking the devastating cycle of violence. The memory of those lost in the Bronx in 1993 serves as a solemn call to action, to find better ways to resolve our conflicts before they consume us all, ensuring that love, not vengeance, has the final word.